Hey everybody, this is Andrew, producer of the Liars Club. Jessica, Felicia, and I would love to say thank you so much for giving the podcast a listen, giving it a try, and we hope that you like it. It really does mean the world to us. Also, if you follow us on Instagram at the Liars Club 1, you can keep updated on all of the live shows that we have coming up, and we are starting to do more, and we would love you to come out and check that out. Also, if you could go on whatever podcast app you are listening to, be that Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, the iTunes app, Laughable, anything, and give us a rate, a review, and a subscribe, it would mean the world to us, and it would be the best thing ever. Thank you.
Welcome to the Liars Club. This is where we take our guests, we tell them to give us the truth, give us a lie, we figure out which is which. I'm Jessica Wellington.
I'm Felicia Michaels.
And you're about to get lied to.
And how's it going?
It's great. I'm going to go to the Improv tonight and open for Whitney and Michael Rappaport.
God, look at you all fancy. Everyone go see The Mule because Jessica is actually in the Clint Eastwood movie, The Mule. Please go see it. Yeah, there's nothing. It was awesome. It was really awesome. And there's nothing better than seeing fame go to Jessica's head. You're the best person I've ever seen that happen to. It's hilarious.
Hey, you can't help it. Like, the people in the audience, they wanted to talk to me.
Yeah, after you were like, that's me! That's me!
They recognized me.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Are you doing a meet and greet outside the theater?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
You mean, was she vaping and people walk by and she's like, remember, it was me? Anyway.
I attracted all the film students. They were like, oh my God, you're giving us hope.
They could tell they got something to learn from you.
Yeah.
For sure.
See?
Yeah.
Tenacity is and talent, by the way, but tenacity because Jessica flew herself out to audition for that. I fucking love that you did that. I know. It's a very cool thing that you did. Please introduce our guest. We have an amazing guest today.
Okay, over to my left, he works at the Improv as well, and we've been on the road a few times doing the high shows.
Yeah.
Right, gateway shows. And I'm going to fuck up his name because I'm sorry. Mike Masilotti.
Masilotti, perfect. You did great. That's awesome. Good to be here. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
And over in front of me, also wearing almost the same thing. It's a little weird. He's a very funny guy. I met him on the road as well when we left in that little shitty Civic, right?
Something like Accord.
Sorry. Yeah. That we had to add oil to.
Right.
Along the way.
Yeah. Were you driving that?
I think I was, right?
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
The whole time. But this is Michael Evans.
Hi.
Yeah.
Wow, so there are a lot of mics in the room today. I was like,
A ton of mics.
okay, now
It's
I
like
get
the
it.
name
Now
of
I get it.
our generation of comics is like all Mikes and Michaels.
Yeah.
It's a
He goes
total
by
bitch.
Michael, though, so it's a little different.
Yeah,
Right.
if that helps, you can go Michael and Mike over there.
Right, and I'm Felicia Michaels, so there you go.
Hey.
Bam.
Can't
Well,
avoid it.
you guys look like fucking twinsies, man. You
Really?
guys have almost the same beard. Yours is longer. You're a
Yeah.
little more gingery, but you guys are the same pasty-faced white fellas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it.
I'm Latino, though. I just don't look it.
Oh, really?
I'm like
He
a
is.
chameleon.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that weird?
Wow, that's why you're one step away from the ginger.
Yeah, see, and I'm not a redheaded person, and my beard seems to make people think that I am.
It's like amber.
Yeah. Well, your beard's kind of reddish.
It's kind of red, yeah. It's like my face thinks
Are
I'm a
your pubes
redhead.
reddish, too? or
They're
no?
not. They're not at all.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't and I don't know why I defend it. When this comes up, I don't know why I go like, "Hey, I'm not a redhead." Like why would that be a bad thing? That's like the last thing you can totally shame and it's okay to do. Like
Well, no, because you're very nice. All the redheaded boys in school were the meanest. They were the worst.
they had something they were pent up about.
Yeah.
I always find that redheaded men aren't that attractive until you find listen for a moment. Listen for a moment until you find the unicorn redheaded dude. And that guy's like a fucking filly. That guy's like, boo.
So there's like one.
That guy's
so
like,
1 out of 100
is sweet.
Sweet.
You mean
Michael, are
like,
you a Philly?
I'm a Philly, yeah. Yeah. I'm one of those redheads with the soul still intact, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, wow, he talks like a brown-haired guy, but he seems to feel like a black-haired person, you know?
I had this redheaded boyfriend, and he was really pretty. Anyway, that's all I
Down memory lane.
Did I ever tell you the Sam Kinison story that about the car keys?
No.
Oh, well, this reminds me of my redheaded boyfriend. So back in the day when Kinnison was at the Comedy Store and he was really drunk and he was standing outside of the back here in the back of the original room.
Right.
And they were letting out, I'm sure I told this story, they were letting out people from the main room and he was so fucked up, he would drop his pants every time people walked by in a group and he would yell, "Remember when this will get a laugh?" And then he was so fucked up. And then I was like, "Sam, why don't you go home? You've had some drinks or whatever." And he's like, "Oh, Malik is mad at me." That was his wife. So then I was like, "Well, you can come and hang out at my house if you want to crash," because he had to catch a plane to go somewhere early in the morning. And my roommate's out of town, so you can crash. And he was like, all right. So then we get to my house, and my roommate had locked her door and weirdly to her room. And so I was like, fuck. And so we both slept in my bed. And then he woke up.
Whoa!
No, it wasn't. It
Yeah,
wasn't
that's what I was
anything
gonna
like
say.
that. It wasn't anything like that.
But you slept with Kinnison. You could say that.
I slept with Kinnison.
That's pretty sweet. Pretty sweet.
And then, so like at 5 a.m, he like shoots up. We went to sleep around 3 o'clock in the morning because we were staying out late here at the store. And then at 5 a.m, he wakes up and he's like, "Oh fuck, I gotta catch my flight." And so he had one of the first ever cell phones, and he calls. Someone comes and gets him. He's like, "Fuck, I can't find my Ferrari keys." Cut to 6 months later, I'm fucking the redheaded filly.
Oh, came back
He's
around.
got me pinned up against the wall. My legs are over my ears, and his hand, because he's trying to like torque his way into some deliciousness. And his hand is on the wall trying to balance himself, and then his hand slides down the wall and just slides between the wall and the bed. And then he pulls out and he goes, "Who the fuck belongs to these Ferrari keys?"
Oh, he's like, "Who else are you fucking,
Damn
bitch?"
it. She's blonde. This is one of my stories I was going to tell. Yeah.
Wait, so he left his keys there?
It fell out of his pocket or
So how
something.
the hell did he get home?
No, he had called someone when he couldn't find his keys. He
So his
just called
Ferrari
the car
was just
service.
sitting there?
It was sitting here at the store.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, because he was all
That's-
fucked up.
That's crazy.
Isn't that funny?
That's
That
so
is
crazy.
ridiculous. You slept with Kinnison, and then
He left his Ferrari keys behind your bed? Are
That's how good I am at sleeping with.
you kidding? That is the coolest thing ever. That's a Sam Kinison story that people need to know. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like, I had to catch a
Here's-
flight. I left my Ferrari at the store.
And plus, how about that Philly coming in finding those keys?
That redheaded.
Hey.
If he wasn't trying to get so deep, he wouldn't have got those keys. If he was fucking it like a pussy, he wouldn't have found those keys, dude.
Damn right. That's that unicorn red, baby.
you're here to deep penetration.
And you know what is hilarious is after I got married, my ex-husband, he was my husband at the time. I told him that story, and he's like, "Wait a minute, you didn't fuck Kinnison?" And I go, "No, I didn't fuck. Well, get the fuck out of here! I didn't fuck Kinnison." And he goes, "Oh, I thought you fucked Kinnison." And I was like, "And you married me?"
He's like, that's why I
Man, that
married
was
you.
part of it.
Anyway.
Oh, that's so funny.
Thank you guys for tuning in and listening to us. And we're going to start the game portion of the show. And what we do is, if this is your first time tuning in, is we have two of our comedy pals come on and tell us two stories. One is the truth and one is the lie. And we'll pepper you with questions. Jessica can be a little aggressive. So,
You don't say.
So don't let it.
Hand tattoos and a leather jacket.
Well, I have not made it yet. You know this is pleather.
Okay.
But that's not what those film students thought outside the theater.
That's right. So, so that's what we do, and we'll try to figure out which one is the truth and which one is the lie. Who would like to go first, Michael?
I can go first. Mike
Okay.
over here.
No, Mike. No, yeah.
Yeah, the mic.
Okay.
All right. So, story number one.
Boy, we really mellowed it out for you.
I know.
This isn't NPR.
Yeah, too much respect.
After I set up the energy with that sweet "I slept with Sam Kinison" story. But
I don't know which one to
continue.
go with first. All right. So when I was a kid, I went on a bus with my school to a baseball game in New York City because I was from upstate New York. And we went to see the Yankees. And it was a fun game. Everybody had a great time. But it was when the teachers had to lead all the kids around in groups.
Teachers, wait a minute. You were with your baseball team?
No. I was at school. Like, it was a school trip. It was like one of those, like, everyone sign up, like like a slip, and your parents will let you go with like chaperones that they don't go, but they let you go to like instead of school, you go to a baseball
It's a
game.
field trip.
Field trip.
Right when Mike's right when Mike's story, as soon as you start talking about education, Jessica smells bullshit. Like, no way were you on a school bus?
Well, usually field trips are like lame, and like this was like we left the premises, and like it was like like our school wasn't like we never got to do fun stuff, so it was like a big deal. So we go to the baseball game, everyone's having a good time, but me and my friend like always lag back. We were always like the back of the group kind of kids, and we latched onto the wrong group, and we didn't notice it was like the end of the day. Like we didn't really remember the game a lot. Like we just like. I didn't have money for food, and my parents always like, broke kid. They gave me like a packed lunch. I was like ashamed of it. So like I went to go eat though, because everyone was eating their hot dogs and shit. And then when we latched onto the wrong group on the way home, like everyone was getting back on their buses because a bunch of schools. It wasn't just our school. A bunch of schools were doing it. And then we got on the wrong bus and didn't realize it till like half an hour on the trip because it was like a.
You got on the wrong bus. You didn't realize you didn't know anybody on there?
Well, because
Jesus.
no, it wasn't just
Are you
me.
angry today? What, dude? Relax. Relax.
It was me and a couple of my friends. It was like three of us. I was one of the three.
See, that's all you cared about. You're like, it didn't matter that you didn't know.
Well, I think all three of us thought like it was like I don't know. Everyone's getting on the buses. I just walked where my friends were going. We're all getting on buses, and we went to a completely different school. And we realized that like maybe like I don't know. We were still talking, and it was when we looked up and the teacher started like talking to everybody and saying like their announcements. Is when we realized like I don't really know who that person is, and then it started clicking that we didn't know who anybody on the bus because there was three of us in the back. And then it was just like, oh, shit, we're on the wrong. But we had to say something. But then the teacher saw these kids freaking out in the back, and they pulled the bus over, and we just told the name of our school. And then they were still there looking for us. They didn't leave. So we had to, like, go back and check in. And it was like
And how many friends were you with when you got lost?
It was me and two of my buddies.
Uh-huh. And how old were you?
It was, let's see, third grade. I don't know how old you are in third grade.
Right, like
8?
9, 8.
Yeah.
Eight-ish,
8 or 9.
eight-ish.
Yeah. I was young enough to where I didn't, like, this is before cell phones. This is like parents, like, give you up to the world, and then they
Right.
just expect you to come back home. So
God,
now,
that's true.
right? Like
Isn't
now,
that
my
weird?
nephew,
Yeah.
if he got lost, would just text his mom or dad. And
Right.
That'd be it.
And what was the event again? It was what?
It was a Yankee game.
A Yankee game.
New York.
How
Yankees.
did you feel in that moment? Were you upset? Were you?
Oh, I was
what
terrified.
was your emotions like?
I was honestly.
Now you're therapist. First you were angry chick, and now you want to know his fucking feelings in third grade.
Well, it's scary getting on. You ever realize you're on the wrong bus or with the wrong group of people, and you're like, "This is not the adult." You'd know right away on the wrong bus.
Dude, that's how
None
I
of these
became a
people are my
comedian.
people.
I was more afraid of what my mom was going to say. My mom was like the most terrifying person when I was a kid. And I was like, oh my God, she's going to kill me. But I didn't get like they were more like, you always forget as a kid, your parents are more worried that you're safe. And at first I'm like, oh, I'm going to get in so much fucking trouble. That's why first thing we did was like, we're not going to say anything. And then it's like the one smart friend was like, if they could be going in any direction, so we have to say, and then that's when the teacher saw like everyone having fun and then 3 kids freaking the fuck out.
Did you?
As a kid, I think there would have been a piece of me, honestly, that would have been like, all right, this is my chance. Whole new life. You know?
Like they're 2 parents waiting for you, and they're just like, Jessica, and you're like, yes, new life.
My chance at a whole new life.
Wow. So we're out of the 3 of you. Were you the most afraid?
I was the most lame. Like I would say, I was a very pussy kid. I would say that. Yeah. So like my friends, I'd always just lead. I was like the follower. I'd lead my like tough friends around. I was just I just made them laugh, but I was always like, I don't know. I never had a good idea, but I'd follow like I would jump off the bridge after my friends did, kind of thing. That's why I
Right.
wasn't even noticing the bus. It was like I was gonna go wherever they went anyway. So
Yeah, he's not saying it all the way, but the reason it probably didn't seem that crazy is because Mike was a piece of shit kid. Like, he was in trouble all the time. Like, I mean, that would be kind of normal for you to be doing something a little out of the ordinary.
Oh, I always got-
You were
yeah,
just
yeah,
always
yeah.
kind of walking the other way.
yeah.
And so how much later did you get home? You think?
I mean, the bus turned around right away because
okay.
they radioed the other buses. And they were like, "Hey, we have these 3 students." We told them our names, and then they were like, "Oh yeah,
Right.
they're at the stadium still.
Yeah.
They didn't leave."
And Michael, you're telling us a lot about him. Did you know him as a child?
No, but we've covered it, and I just don't think he's giving some of the important details as to why he might find himself in this position.
I wasn't the best kid growing up. Let's
Yeah,
just
but
say.
I don't think that has anything to do with getting lost. I got lost on a bus in Berlin, Germany as a kid once.
Well, you're in a different country. They're
Yeah.
speaking different languages.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was an American school bus, but it was kind of the same thing.
You got
There
on
you go.
a wrong American school bus?
No,
This could never happen to me because my stepmom was a bus driver.
your dad fucked the bus driver? Was he like, that's a good fucking catch?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, he made her get the bus driving job.
He did.
Yeah, he fucked somebody unemployed.
She was also a part-time lunch lady.
Well, she can cook and she's got a commercial driver's license.
I always got extra broccoli casserole in one day.
I see you in a different light now. I see you in a
Really?
yes, really? Yeah, that your stepmom was a
Bus driver?
cafeteria lady and the bus driver lady. Yeah.
Same lady.
Yeah.
Wow, that's bad. So did she drive the bus to school and then cook
Yeah, and she
everything and then
mostly
drive back?
She didn't cook. She mostly just did the register.
Oh. Okay, so we're giving her chef credit when she's yeah.
She didn't wear a hairnet, you know.
Yeah. Don't get it twisted. There's no hairnet involved in her
classic.
life.
And no food handler's card.
Interesting. Well, that's a good. You know what? Sometimes the simplest lie is the best lie. Or the simplest story is the best story, and that's a solid story to come out with. Because if you're being strategic about the game, and that's what the game kind of is, when you're telling your stories, I could see where that's a good strategic little story to start off with.
Ah,
Yeah.
all right,
Simple to the point. I
What was the
a
name of your
scared
school?
little boy.
It was Sand Creek Middle School,
Sand Creek Middle School.
Colony, New York.
So now you said you were in 3rd grade, but that's not middle school.
What do you mean 3rd grade is not middle school?
What?
My middle school went 3rd to 5th, and then we had like a pre-high school, and then we went to high
A
school.
pre-high school?
No, we had. It was like 2 years. It was like
Mike's blown cover is going to be inventing a phase of school.
no, because we had a huge school. Like I was around like a ton of kids, so we had like.
Wait, so it was 3rd through 5th was...
Well, I went to a secondary school because I got kicked out in high school as well. So I went to like I literally did.
Look at you changing the
No, this is
Like
true.
a
You know that
fucking-
too. I did get kicked out of high school, like in 7th grade and in 8th grade, and then they made me graduate. They just like pushed me through because they didn't
Yeah.
want to deal with me. But I had to go to like a different school from 2:30 to 4:30.
All right, but that's a different story. Now we're focusing on the story that you told, and you said you were in 3rd grade when this happened. And
Yeah, it was
then-
my first year of that school, like of Sand Creek Middle School, because I went to Shaker Elementary School. It was pre-K, kindergarten, 1st and 2nd, and then Sand Creek was 3 through 5, and then 6, 7. Well, I got kicked out, so I count it that other school.
Listen, in what I was trying to say earlier is that if there's anybody that wouldn't really know all the phases of school, it would be this guy.
Well, I went to a couple different when I got kicked out. But there was still school, but
You had to go to like
highly
some sort of reform
suspicious.
school?
Highly suspicious.
And
Not a
it's
reform
pre-middle school.
Yeah.
This is some
Yeah.
bullshit.
it wasn't a pre-middle school. It was an elementary school.
Was your middle school 6, 7, 8, and then 9, 10, 11, 12
Well,
high
they
school?
did change it. They actually put
See, how is this crazy?
hey, you
they
relax
changed it
over
by
there.
1. So it went from elementary was 1st to 4, or kindergarten to 4th, and then 5th grade started middle school. But before I went, like just a year or two before, it was 6th grade and up.
Oh.
Wow.
6th to 8th or whatever.
I lived in like a really big district though. There was like a lot of school. Like we had to our high school was like 4 different schools combined into the one, and then we had like 8 elementary schools that combined down.
All right, it is
What
New
a
York.
nightmare
It
of a
is New
fucking
York.
field trip, trying to take a bunch of kids to a Yankee game.
Right.
Oh
All
my
right,
God.
we're moving on. I'm
moving
highly
on.
suspicious. That was a
Okay.
good. Yeah, I would gave you kudos of like the simple story, but now I'm like, mm-hmm.
All right.
All right, your turn.
Okay, my turn. When I was in college, this is my 2nd year in college at Eastern Washington University in Spokane, Washington.
By the way, see, I'm not the only one that got somber when it became my turn. It gets all
And
serious.
they all started off. It was Spokane, Washington.
Yeah. It's like the
I was a
beginning.
young lad.
Well, because I think it's
Where college started in 2nd grade.
I think it's because the story's embarrassing. So I'm like, well, let's not get hyped up for this. So we've been drinking. It's like a Saturday night, and maybe it's a Friday night because a friend of mine was coming into town from home to visit, who I haven't seen in a long time. And so I don't know. I was admittedly I was an animal at the time, like my drinking habits and all that. So I'm probably 6 or 8 beers deep, 10 beers deep, maybe. My buddy
Were
Tim.
you drinking on the road when we went up to Sacramento?
I was drinking on the way there in the car. Yeah.
So this story seems right.
So far, so good.
Yeah, drunk
Yeah.
stories are only fascinating when you have Ferrari keys in your pocket, by the way.
Or if you're the Philly that found the keys.
Very true, very true. I'll give you that.
Okay, so I'm drinking pretty standard heavily at the time, and my buddy Tim shows up. He's from my hometown, about 6 hours west. I haven't seen him in a long time. It's cool that he's there. This is the most embarrassing way to break a bone, but I see him. We do like a jump and hug thing in like an NBA rebound situation. I come down on his foot and roll my ankle, and I just hear like a real bad pop. So I'm like fetal position on the floor, where I think I still have to understand how to use this mic. I'm in the fetal position, like on the floor, like going like, I'm sure something is wrong, and they're doing like the whole thing where they're coming up and like fucking me in the ass. They're like joking around, like, it's not. And my buddy Drew's like, get up and maybe take a step on it before it tightens up. It's gonna be hurt for real, which is really bad bro logic. And I get up and it pops one more time.
Oh, no.
Pops again?
Yeah.
I'm rocking back and forth.
It's the worst, yeah. So,
It'll be okay.
So we'll fast forward this part. Basically, we keep drinking the rest of the night. We end up going to like a bonfire down a trail.
And you're
I'm
walking
walking
on it?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And I'm just dealing with it drunk.
It's
And
definitely a dumb guy thing to do. When you
Really,
get hurt
really
and you're
dumb.
just like, let me just keep. I'll deal with that later.
so
Idiotic.
I finish out the weekend, and it's all like
The
kind of, it's like
weekend?
black and purple.
Oh,
and
no.
finally, I'm like, I should go in. And I go in the X-ray. Basically, I can still. I'll find pictures of X-ray sometimes. It's like the long bone from the pinky toe to the heel was just in half in there. And so basically now I'm on this like 4 months of like a full leg cast.
Was this at
A
'cause
full
I've
leg all the way
broken-
to your hip? I'm sorry, Jessica.
No, I've broken a few bones, and did they have the?
Yes, she has.
But they were other people's bones.
That's my girl. Tell it.
But did you have the boot at this point? Even now, a lot of times they'll just give you the boot instead of actually putting the plaster cast on you.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I was asking you about how long the cast went because
Yeah,
The
how long
cast
did it
went
go, and was it
above or
plaster
below
or
the knee?
not?
right below the knee.
Okay.
So it was like I don't know. It felt like more than I deserved.
And was it plaster?
Yeah, it was like a real cast that we had to get cut off eventually. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I had one, and my dad ended up just cutting it off with pliers eventually.
No.
Yeah,
way.
yeah. You can also get in a.
Right.
No,
Fucking serious?
I grew up.
Yeah.
I grew up. I grew up like racing motocross.
Jesus.
So like my friends and I had broken bones a lot. And if it was like summer and we wanted to go swimming and someone had a cast on, you could
my
sit in the
God.
bathtub and soak it for a while. and You can cut it off. We
Yeah.
did that all the time.
Oh my God,
It's
you guys are
not
brutal.
good stuff. Yeah.
Don't you have to put it in like a
Terrible.
splint after it's in a cast too? It doesn't go cast to free life, right?
Yeah, but if you were within 3 or 4 weeks of it coming off anyway,
Jesus.
you're all
We were
right.
due.
Oh, Jesus.
We were due.
So I have the cast on now. I also Spokane, Washington. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yes, I've been
state.
there many
It's
times.
very, very. It's like 5 months of negative temperatures. It's
Yeah.
really brutal tundra
That's
cold.
stupid.
Yeah, so I'm on campus as like a freshman or sophomore in college with crutches, and it's icy and snowy and it's total bullshit. So basically, right after this happens, I go home like 6 hours west to get the cast and all that shit. We're coming back with a whole trailer of shit. I'm moving into a new place. I have this cast on for 4 months. We've got a brand new bed and mattress on a trailer pulling behind a Dodge Durango, amongst a bunch of other shit. And we're on the highway that borders the Columbia River. It's really windy out there. It's wintertime. It's horrifying.
facts.
And the wind catches the mattress that is strapped to the box spring.
Oh, this has happened to
Yeah,
me
this
too.
is-
With my it's
Yeah.
great.
You know what's funny? As I was about to, I was gonna go. This all happened.
My
with the
story has
broken
happened
leg.
to everybody.
While you had a broken leg, something else happened. It didn't just end with the leg thing. I thought the leg thing was the story. The mattress thing's the story.
That's almost the story. This drive is the story.
Jesus
Don't worry, it
Christ.
doesn't go much longer.
No, it's not that. It's just what else is going to happen on this trip? This isn't so broken leg. You is dealing with a mattress flopping around.
Broken leg me and lit on Vicodin me. You got to imagine
Jesus.
this is a weird panic. I'm like side of the highway situation. There's a queen size brand new like $1,000 mattress in the road, and there's
You
a
gotta
box
stop
spring.
and get it.
Yeah, we're not gonna not try, right? So we
Right.
pull over, and a semi truck. We're kind of like timing it, seeing if we can get out and get it, and in like an 18-wheeler, a giant semi truck rolls over the box spring and the mattress, like where there's there's two sets of wheels.
This is like layer after layer of craziness.
You know where like the mattress, like the two wheels that are like this on the truck. It's like the mattress at one point was bent perfectly like a
really?
fan belt.
Like a cartoon.
Yeah, and the box spring is just, since there's wood in there, it's just all shredded into splinters and bullshit. An odd piece of the story is that when this truck pulled over, it was a female semi-truck driver, stepmom maybe, and
Why couldn't it be a real mom?
Yeah.
What was wrong with?
My mom did hang out at truck stops.
the Flying J.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Kathy, right?
Yeah. So right after the truck pulls over, a state trooper pulls over and goes like, "Hey, this is supposed to be like a $5,000 fine for having a load that is not safely strapped into the truck."
Really?
And because it ends littering and everything, since there's shit everywhere, and they're like, "If you can clean up every piece out of the
Get
road,
the
I'll
fuck
get out of here."
No way.
And I'm
the
sitting here on
cops sent you
crutches.
in the road with crutches on.
I have one friend with me, and so I'm like, "Yo, Jeremy, we got to figure out how to get in and out the road and get this." So I'm the bottom of the cast is now raw and flat, where I've been kind of just walking on it normal.
It wasn't a walking cast because you had the crutches?
Right.
Okay.
And
Yeah, it was plaster. They don't do those as walking.
word. You're not supposed to.
Right.
Yeah. So we
No,
get
I
the
think like when I was a kid, you didn't have the boot. You did a plaster.
Yeah, but you
cast
couldn't- you
with a
weren't supposed
little
to walk
nub.
on it.
No, it had like a black plastic
Oh, the
piece
black
plastered
boot
on
on
it.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Back in the olden days.
That sounds high tech. They like plaster a
Yes.
boot to the bottom.
And then
of
I got my wagon and I went back to the farm. Continue.
They just gave me some whiskey and sent me out. So we're just picking pieces up out of the road as cars are coming by. This semi-truck lady is standing out there with us like, nothing's wrong with the truck, whatever. The cop tells us if we get all the pieces cleaned up, we can go. I'm in no place to do this. I'm like high on pills. And basically we get all the pieces we can out of the road. We get up the road with the mattress strapped down still. We're like an hour or two from the Tri-Cities on the way to Spokane. We get to the Tri-Cities. It's nighttime now, and we decide we're going to stay there for the night. So we do some drinking before we get to the hotel that we're going to stay in. we get to a Jack in the Box drive-through.
Oh, so drinking was had.
Yeah, drinking was had. Yeah, we get to a Jack in the Box drive-through, and basically, I don't know how this all played out, but we end up crawling from the window of the car into the through the drive-through window,
No, you didn't.
drunk, and they let
You
us.
pulled to Florida?
That's not what a Florida is. It's like we did this at prom.
Usually people throw smoothies through the window. You threw yourself through the
Threw
window.
ourselves through the window. Yeah, and so they're like
With a cast on?
with the cast on. But at this point, since we ran in and out of the highway, and I'd been on for a little, I'm not using the crutches anymore. I'm just flattening the bottom.
Right.
And I had this
Oh,
nice little knit
Jesus.
thing that went over my toes so that they stayed warm. It was nice. Some lady made them at the hospital and donated them. It was really sweet. Anyway,
Her name was Catherine.
miss you, Catherine.
As she
She grew up
knitted
in
them
Vermont.
for you and handed them to you, she didn't know that 3 weeks later you'd be crawling through the window
Damn
like
straight.
a jack in a box.
You're going to make a jumbo jack all by myself. I've never worked. We get back. So Tim is with us. Tim and I crawl through from the car into the Jack in the Box drive-through window. Jeremy pulls the rig out, and Tim and I are back there. Tim's worked at a Jack in the Box for years, so he kind of knows what he's doing back there and knows
Where
what
are
to
the
start.
people?
They're back there. They're having a good time. It's the middle of the night. It's like these kids working there that seem younger than us, and they seem just as fucked up as we are. And all I remember grabbing from like what I could grab was the little thing where you'd put pickles on a burger. I'm grabbing pickles out and eating them, and eventually I just crawl over the counter that you pay at, and I'm back into the restaurant. Normal style. And they didn't think that it was time for us to leave or that we might get in any trouble because of footage until Tim had his shirt off and he's drinking in the place. Like on the cameras, they're like, you guys got to leave. And we're not being easy about it. So eventually they're like, hey, this has been fun, but we're going to have to call the cops if you don't get out of here. We're like, okay, that's kind of weird. So we left. And then and we stayed at the hotel. We finished the drive to Spokane the next day. And yeah, I think that's the wild part of the story that you would have to decide is if we really crawled through a fucking drive-through window.
I mean, I thought the wild part was the way you broke your in the beginning, I thought it was all about the ankle break. Then I thought it was about the mattress.
See,
and it's
that-
actually about the Jack in the Box.
That's where
It's kind of a long story.
It's-
So should we focus on a part of it being like what's the truth and what's a lie, or the whole thing?
Well, who knows? That's a lot. I mean, to crawl through a Jack-in-the-Box window?
Yeah,
Aren't
I
those
just
tiny?
got really
I don't think
southern.
I could. I don't think I could fit through it.
Yeah, I know.
You
Well-
could fit through it.
You could.
Yeah,
You're
I
thin.
think you could.
That'd
Yeah.
be pretty hard, though.
Did you just pop a Werther's original, Felicia?
No, I'm eating chocolate because it's Christmas.
They're gold coins.
No, I'm eating gold coins.
You're eating gold coins. Don't those things have no flavor? You really pay for like the.
I know. That's why I was like, I know she's not eating Werther's original over there.
And what about if I was going to? So what? God damn, you're always on me. Anyway, well, that was that. Do you have any questions for this gentleman over here about that long?
Well, how did your foot
story?
end up?
Sorry about the
What
long
happened with your
story.
foot
No,
when you
I'm
went
totally
to the
teasing you.
doctor?
When I went to the doctor, I was just 4 months later. I got the cast off. I actually
didn't say
thought
anything?
I thought they were
4
going to
months
concern
later, but I thought you said you broke the bottom of it.
the bottom
No,
of the
he, like,
cast.
flattened
It was all flattened and raw, and I was certain they would say something about that when I got to the doctor, like, "Yo, this can't be healed all the way," or "Look at the damage you've done to the cast." They didn't seem to notice. It's like they didn't look at the bottom of my foot before they started cutting it off. I was like, "Cool."
And how long did you have the cast on the whole time?
For like the whole time with the cast, 4 months of cast.
Well,
4 months of
they
cast.
did X-rays, right?
Yeah, did they do X-rays before they took it off?
Or after they took it off, to make sure.
I don't remember. It seems like they would, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Sure does.
Huh. Well, I don't mean to always turn the podcast to myself.
No, please. But this one time,
But one time, back in the old
I was
days,
laying in bed.
Yeah, one
with
time I'm with
Rodney
Sam Kinison and we're just sleeping.
No, when I was in 7th grade, I was at a school picnic, like where the whole school went to the picnic, kind of like your story about baseball game, and they used to make long picnic tables, and this
still
was
do?
yeah, but they were like no, like really long tables, not like normally long, just for like. At the park or whatever. And so because it was in Colorado where it's really intense summers and really cold winters, the picnic tables weren't that sturdy. And I was standing at the end of the picnic table because they were serving Kool-Aid off the picnic table. And when it became my turn to get some Kool-Aid, the kids were out of control, jumping off, like 30 kids on and off the table. It got really chaotic. And the
Kool-Aid does
picnic
that to kids.
table, give them sugar. And the picnic
Yeah.
table started to give. And the girl that was serving the Kool-Aid jumped off. And when she jumped off, she kicked my shoulder. And I fell down, and the picnic table lurched towards me because I was right at the edge. And the brace that holds up the picnic table snapped, and it snapped right on my ankle. And my ankle was like 99.5% severed, just hanging on by the skin.
Oh shit! I
Yeah.
just realized you're telling this is a 100% true story.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Oh shit!
So that's why I was like asking about the cast and everything, because for
Oh, my
me,
God,
it was so fucking disgusting.
They would have
So-
like plates and screws and fuse it, right?
Well, no,
God.
what happened was, so they took me to the hospital, and then they put a machine, like, when you get your blood pressure
Oh
taken, the
my
thing that goes around your arm.
God.
It was a machine like that.
It's like a robot thing saved your leg.
No. What they do is they were restricting the flow of blood through my body. And then I'm just going to keep with my story. I'm just going to fucking, fuck y'all, I'm doing the story. Anyway, so they shot my leg up with so much drugs, they had to stop the blood flow from letting the drugs go into my complete system where it could have done me really big harm. Yeah.
Shit.
And then, they pulled the leg out.
Oh my god!
And they pushed it together, and then they put a cast on. But then I went home, and then a week later it got infected. This is the worst thing that ever happened to me in my entire life. So they had to saw off the cast a week in, and because there was so much craziness going on with the leg, I was like, it was terrible, you guys. It was a terrible thing. It was terrible.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Felicia.
So that's why I have a
brutal.
lot of empathy for your story about the cast.
Oh, that's so brutal.
But that is. Do you have issues with your foot?
Still, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I drive like a manual shift car, if I press the clutch in that left one, it'll pop on that far left side every time.
Right. I have one foot that's a size smaller than my other foot because
No
of my-
way.
Yeah, because
That's where
of my-
that's from?
Get
Yeah,
the
I have a
fuck
I have
outta
a
here.
I have a little tiny it's a beautiful
It's
little
like one
foot. It's a really pretty little foot. And then I have my work foot. Like if I'm fucking a guy and he's into feet and he picks up my work foot, I have to change my sexual position and then offer him up my little pretty foot instead.
Quick question: when you buy shoes, do you buy two sizes and wear one of each, or do you buy one size and just deal with one being a little bigger?
I usually deal with one being a little bigger because it's a karmic thing. Like I remember, you know Paul Provenza? Mm-hmm. Paul Provenza used to have this talk show, and the only time I ever did that is when I was going to be on Paul Provenza's talk show back in the day when
The
I was
Green
in my
Room?
20s.
Or no?
No, this is pre this. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
20 years ago or whatever. And so that's the only time I ever snuck in the shoes. But I'm dyslexic and I did it wrong. And the whole time I was being interviewed by Paul Provenza, my fucking foot was killing me.
Oh my god! So you did it the opposite.
Grown?
So you did it the opposite.
Like a fucking idiot.
So the little one was two sizes off, and the big one was way too small.
Yeah, and the whole time I'm trying to be all funny and cute, I was like, man, my fucking foot hurts. and then like 10 years later, I told Paul Provenza that story, and he was like, what? Get the fuck away from me.
That's
Anyway.
hilarious.
So a robot saved your foot? Felicia, I'm here to save your foot. What a hero.
So we're going to move on to your second story. Sorry, I was
Mike?
long-winded with that story.
Oh, no, that was
Let's go.
good. That's crazy. I had no idea. Does it still like when bother when you walk? That's crazy. That's like
Well,
such an important.
Yeah, there is a big
Joint.
scar there.
Feet, big
Oh
deal.
yeah, there is a big scar there, and but the skin adhered and grew back on the bone. There's no muscle or fat in between, so there's like a quarter size area where the skin is attached to my bone.
All right, so when I was this is summer between, I would say, let's see, I was 14 years old, so right before it was a summer right before high school, because I remember it was a big deal.
I'm sorry. So now you're saying you were 14 when you went into high school.
Yeah.
That's right?
All right, but before you were saying that.
Well, I went into because my secondary school, there was I went to the wrong. I was thinking about because I did get kicked out. I went to two schools throughout high school. I'm just saying this is
Okay,
So
all right.
this is the first chunk before the second where I got,
Okay.
So this is like let's see, so it was the summer before I met all these kids that let's see, fuck it, it's a summer before schools. I meet up with all these kids that we all don't know each other from school yet, but we're gonna go to the same school. All our schools are meeting up. It's like, oh shit, we're all gonna go to the same school. It's gonna be awesome. So they are all really badass kids. Again, I always go to these kind of scumbaggy kids because they're really fun. So we decide we just walking around all these construction sites and walking through the woods, and we would just fuck around. The woods was our favorite place to be, and we were walking by and we saw a giant 3 or 4 giant black garbage bags. So we walk over and you see what it was, and it was all I would say gay porn, but it wasn't gay. It was just naked guys. It was all just we started at
Sounds
first.
kind of gay porn to me.
Well, no,
No,
'cause
women could look at that.
that's what I was thinking, because at first I was thinking it was gay porn, but they weren't doing anything to each other.
Oh, I see
it was
what you're
just,
saying.
But it was all naked dudes, and they were. It was triple X, and not one. I'm talking seriously. There had to be minimum at least 100 of these, 3 bags full. They had to be from a store. It wasn't from someone's collection. Some store got rid of these, gave it to somebody, and they just ended up.
How is
in the
this?
woods.
This is like a real thing, I guess, because Rogan has a bit about it too, about him just finding magazines in the woods.
Yeah, it was crazy. We were all laughing. Yeah.
That was where you hid your shit, though.
Yeah.
When all my friends and I discovered chew in 6th or 7th grade, we'd just go bury it out in the woods like a can of chew. And that was where you had the balls to uncover it and try it and have it in
Yeah.
your hand.
That's true. I remember when I was a little girl, my Barbie doll, my Ken doll, I would tape them together in a 69 position and bury them in the woods.
No.
I'm totally fucking lying. I'm totally lying.
That was such a creative lie.
That was one of the. Oh, that was one of the
I was
coolest
getting
things.
worried.
You know, every like therapist listening to this just jumped into their seat like, oh. So we find all this. At first, we don't know it's all guys. We just see a bunch of naked people. So we get all like, holy shit, we just found a fuck ton of porn. And as we go through every magazine, we start noticing like, wow, this is only guys, and it's every one of them. So we don't want to not. We had to do something with it. It's hilarious. We're a bunch of like dudes like we think it's stupid funny. So we start just like putting them like on people's car windshield, like ripping out pages, like just hiding them all throughout like this little area in our like neighborhood. It was super fun. And then at the end, we decide just like, all right, we gotta get rid of these things. It was like one full day of it, and like, all right, so what do we? So like, let's just go behind the Grand Union, and we'll
Grand Union.
It's like it was like it's a grocery store. They actually had a Price Chopper and a Grand Union next to each other, but it was like a big grocery store area. But all like those big garbage bins behind it. So it was literally across the street from my house. You're hilarious. It was across the street from my house. So I was on my way home. I was like, all right, we'll stop by there because we all stayed in the same neighborhood. And we threw these like 3 bags into the garbage can thing. And then my buddy Jim grabs like a lighter and lights like one of the like pages he ripped on fire. And then he was joking around about throwing it in the dumpster, and we were all like, "Oh no, yeah, that's funny, whatever." And they were all into it, and I'm such a pussy, but I think it's exciting. But at that point, I was like, "All right, guys, let's get out of here." So then he kept faking to throw it in there. I kept trying to stop him. Finally, he just like lit the corner on, threw it in there, and then we just all walk away. And not even 10 minutes later, like we're just hanging out still in the woods area, and we hear fire trucks all like storming that area, and we go. Like right behind the Grand Union, there was this giant hill, and we're just sitting on by the hill in the woods watching all these guys put out this huge fire, like huge dumpster fire behind this thing. And it was all the gay porn that was on fire that my buddy
No way.
threw the thing in.
No way.
And we didn't tell. It was like a big deal because like they had to shut down like half the back of the store. It didn't destroy the whole. It did damage though because the whole.
Was that
dumpster
on the
went up.
news?
I mean, it had to.
Bunch of men's magazines.
Yeah, I wonder if any of the magazines, like any Ash of the magazine.
Oh, it had to have.
Yeah.
It had to have.
And they were just like, this is some fucking creepy
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
So then, but then I didn't tell anybody. Like my buddies were just like to them it was easy to like walk away. I was thinking about it forever because I just felt so bad. Because my mom and dad were talking about because the fire was across the street from my house. And they were talking about it, and I was just freaking out. I don't know if I feel like my moms know their kids, and she like saw my eyes. She's like, "Holy shit, it was you," but never said that to me. But like when she was talking about the story, I
And
feel
you never
like
told her that story?
no. I never told anybody in my family that story. I just feel like my dad probably didn't give a shit now. My mom still remember. Like I was like the youngest, so if I fucked
What
up,
about if they hear it now?
I mean, I feel like I'm doing good enough in my life now that she would.
Okay.
I bought her some good Christmas gifts this year.
Okay,
So
all
she,
right. Wow.
But that
Wow.
was, so I just felt really bad, and nothing ever. We never got in trouble, but it was like a huge deal in the community. Like there was that whole like, if you guys have information to the people, it was like one of those
The
kind of
people
things.
with the men's porn.
Yeah, that's through that. But I don't know if they knew that's what lit it up. They just thought it was. They just said that someone lit the dump. It was definitely arson. The dumpster was lit on fire on purpose. And
Wow. And they didn't have cameras back there?
no, I mean, if they did, we didn't get caught for
At
it.
the Grand Union?
At the Grand, the back. It was like the back side of it.
Yeah, but
It's
this
like-
is earlier. They might not have. You know, they weren't as. We had them, but they
Yeah.
weren't as prevalent.
Yeah, they probably didn't have it on the back. It was like where the 18 wheelers.
You remember,
drove
Felicia?
up.
Anyway.
That's my
All right. Well, that's a good second story. Okay. That but who hasn't caught something on fire as a child?
Yeah, but that was kind of. I mean, it was a big.
You
deal.
haven't-
It was like thousands of dollars
Yeah,
of
yeah.
property damage kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because we used to light stuff on fire a lot, but it would never like fuck
Yeah,
up.
fire is exciting when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
that-
but we did that all the time. Like we had to burn our leaves and shit.
Yeah, but this is like on a building. Like it was. Thank God it was like a cement building. But that it
You
got.
never
it-
started an accidental fire?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've played with fire, but not.
It was no accident, though. I'll tell you
Safe
that.
when I did it. All right.
All right, are we ready for the second story?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, this is what a Halloween ago.
A Halloween ago.
Yeah, it's because you like this story's been on stage before, but you won't get that version at all because I usually say the most recent Halloween. But we just had a Halloween, so I guess this is more than a year ago now. I'm in Seattle on Cap Hill with some friends of mine there that I know very well. I'd never tried psychedelic drugs before. I'd always wanted to, but I was always afraid to because I didn't want it to be something you get stuck in for a long time that you can't. Like, I can lose control of my thoughts if I get too high and I freak out. So I don't.
Right.
But I always heard good things too, so I wanted to try
I on
mushrooms.
Vicodin, you go through drive-through windows.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah, yeah.
but that's
And
as
you
long
were
as I-
drinking on a road gig, like on driving,
Oh,
and
what?
you never did
Felicia!
psychedelics.
Oh,
What?
okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Hey, I've never
that's
slept
what
in
I'm
a
saying.
bed
I
with
thought you
Sam
were
Kinison before.
reprimanding him.
You're gonna use that against me?
I know. I wish I'd slept
You-
in a bed
now
with
you-
Sam
now
Kinison.
I don't see your filliness anymore.
Hey, well,
Oh,
you're hurting my feelings.
And it's bad.
Meow. Okay, so continue.
So we eat these mushrooms, and this is like the most. This is so because this is true. Why would, if you were having a friend with you try mushrooms for the first time, it's a couple. Like, these friends are a couple. And like 40 minutes into eating, they just went in. Like, that's when it starts, about 40 minutes. They like just were in their room with the door locked for the
And
rest of the night.
left you alone.
Left me alone. Yeah.
Oof.
So I'm in Seattle by myself, and I'm like, I'm afraid and I'm resentful, and I'm like, whoa, this is not where I wanted to
And
be.
that sucks when you have that feeling change when you're on mushrooms. It goes deep.
Yeah.
If you feel a little bad, you
Yeah.
feel real bad.
Yeah, dude, and everything's like the drywall is all swirling. This is all the first time I'm ever experiencing these things, right? And so I'm like, I just got to get the fuck out of here. That's all I know. And so I'm slapping on her door. I'm like, yo, Sarah, you got to get me out of here. You at least owe me an Uber out of here. You got to get me out of here. She's like, okay, I'll let you know when the Uber's here.
You were in a dorm?
I was in an apartment on Capitol Hill in
Okay.
Seattle, and so she's like, yeah, I'll get you the Uber. I'll let you know when it's in the parking garage. So I'm hanging out there for a little bit. She says, the Uber's down there, so I head down the stairs. Like I said, it's Halloween weekend, right? So I get in the back of a car, and we're headed to the I-5 because we need to use the I-5. And I don't look up from my phone like the whole distance to the I-5. It's maybe like 5 or 7 minutes. And we get on the I-5. I'm like, I should look up and see how the ride's going. I haven't seen the road at all. And so I look up, and we're doing like maybe 15 miles an hour, swerving all over every lane of the I-5.
are you?
Are we? Yeah, we are.
For real?
For real. And I'm like, this isn't going well at all. And that's why I noticed this is the driver, full Captain America costume, mask and all, because it's Halloween.
No!
And and I go, hey man, are you okay? And he turns around and he just goes, he doesn't say anything yet. He just pulls the car over on the shoulder of the I-5, and he turns around, and through the little mask hole, I can smell now, very drunk. He goes, hey man, do you think you could drive? And I'm just sitting there like, I can tell how drunk he is, and it
Was
seemed,
he-
And you're on mushrooms?
yeah, and it seemed like a better choice though. He was so slammed, and if he was so not confident that he pulled over, I'm sitting there and I go, yeah, I guess I think I can.
Was he a real Uber driver, or did you get
He
the
was
wrong car?
He was definitely a real Uber driver. That's a good. I've never considered that angle.
Yeah, the
And so-
guys, yeah.
So you drove?
I drove. It was like 28 miles up the highway to Woodinville, where we're going. And
Did you give yourself a good rating?
I did, yeah, 4. I gave myself a 4.
I would have given it a 5, but it's not my car.
Yeah. So I get in the front seat of the car, and basically the wild part about this. I don't know if have you tried mushrooms? Have you done mushrooms before? Has everybody
No.
done that?
No,
Okay.
I've never.
I don't know how to explain this about mushrooms. I don't know why this is the case medically or scientifically, or how to explain this. But basically, with mushrooms, if you've done them before, you know that it's the lights. That's what it is. Anything light is touching is now moving or looking very different. It's all about lights. That's what it is. So if it's nighttime and you're in the city and there's a lot of headlights and there's like water droplets, it's raining on the back window and everything is shining at, basically I get on the highway, everything's pulling me over. Like, to me, everything is flashing and looking scary. I get the hell off the highway. There's just a break in the white line. I take the first exit I can find. I get off the highway, stop the car at the intersection off the exit, and a black dude runs from the other side of the street and pats on the window and goes, hey man, 2 cigarettes and some money. And I'm like, this is a weird, I'm not rolling on the window. I'm like, I don't know what to do. He runs around and gets in the front seat of the car. He's only
Why not?
He's only there for like 2 minutes. He goes, my name is Walter, 2 blocks up. I'm Walter, 2 blocks up. I'm like, Walter, I can't do this. I don't know why. Like, not that far to walk, by the way, Walter. 2 blocks up. I can't do
Walter
it.
didn't see Captain America in the back?
He didn't, but that's why the front seat was open, is because
Yeah.
indeed Captain America was in the back. Yeah. I'm like, what is this? What does Walter think this is some kind of Uber situation? Then I'm like, this is an Uber situation, and it's his turn to drive if we're staying in order.
Yeah, you get in the driver's seat. I'll get in the back. Captain America, get in the front goddamn seat, motherfucker.
Rotate. Yeah, so I just go, I can't. He's like 2 blocks up. I'm like, I can't. And he just gets out of the car and runs away. That was the whole part of that. On stage, it's a little different. I'm like, I'd say that there's a line why I can't. But the real story, he just gets out of the car and he runs. Like, it felt like the luckiest thing ever. I'm like, cool, I don't got to deal with that guy anymore. and we just continue up the road. I
Right.
do like 25 miles an hour all the way to Woodinville, and we're going to where
What's your plan, though? You're just going to drop yourself off and leave the guy in the car? What's your plan?
dude. No shit, man. I'll tell you how I handled it. Basically, I get to Woodinville where my friend lives with his fiance, and he's not there, but this is the address that he texted me would be a safe place to go. I realize on the way there that he's not going to be there, but I don't like his fiance at all, and I decide this could be my big night to have a deep talk with her and tell him I don't think they should get married.
Oh,
what? Yeah, this is a bad idea. I get there. I get there. I don't do it. By the way, I get out of the car. I just toss Captain America the keys. Like, good luck. You got more work to do. And then I go up to this girl Amanda's door. It's pretty anticlimactic. She lets me like chill out there for a while. I go to my sister's and pass out. But basically, I did mushrooms and I had to drive my Uber.
You had to Uber yourself.
What's funny because no one lives. Woodinville's kind of a far off area. No one lives at. So as an Uber driver, that's one of those drives that you're so far from home.
Yeah.
There's no way he lived
Oh
anywhere
my god!
around.
Yeah, I stranded Captain America.
So he was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I need help," and you were like, "All right, I'm gonna pull you even further away from the city, like 30 miles. Now have fun getting
So
back."
where did you leave him?
Where did I leave him? Out front of the apartment complex in Woodinville.
That's what I'm saying. Now this poor dude's drunk even further away from where his house is.
Yeah.
Did you check up on him the next day?
I don't know how to do that. I don't know
Fair
if
enough, fair
I don't know
enough.
if that'd be
You
an
text
option.
Uber like, "Hey, how's my driver doing
No,
today?"
but wouldn't you just be even curious if the car was still outside?
Yeah.
My curiosity would have gotten me for that. I would have had to gone outside and see if he was still there.
Indeed is now making me wonder, but I didn't consider that at the time. Plus, like your first time on mushrooms is like the night wasn't over for me. Like when I got to where I was going, I'm just still sitting there reeling, and you're not sleepy. So I just had this weird, just watching the ceiling change colors for the rest of the night, and then you kind of sleep for a long time. I don't know. It all just kind of disappeared. It all just went away. I don't know what happened to that guy.
Does that check out, Mike?
I mean,
If you were on mushrooms?
I'm out. Like you're away. Like, yeah, once you're laying down and feel like winding down, you're done. So I could definitely see that. And during mushrooms, everything seems crazy. So crazy stuff that really happens doesn't seem more crazy than the other things you're witnessing until the next day when you go back and you're like, oh shit, that was like that. Like I bet I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't have been driving my own Uber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and having a drunk Captain America in the back. Like that.
Well, 4 excellent stories. And so we're going to recap the stories real quick. So your stories, Mike, was getting lost and going to a Yankee game with kids when you were in 3rd grade. And then that was your first story. And then your second story was lighting some porn that you had found in the woods in a bag on fire and starting a dumpster fire, which caught the Grand Union grocery store ablaze.
Grand Union.
Grand Union, yes. And then Michael's story was the first one was the long
breaking
story
leg.
about the breaking the foot
Right.
and climbing through a Jack in the Box window. And then the second story was the story you just told about Ubering yourself while on mushrooms because
Precisely.
Captain America could not bring himself to
Now,
the
what do you
task.
think, Felicia? Do you think he's trying to trick us with saying he says this on stage? Remember how Nasser did this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh yeah, they'll have to believe it if I tell it."
Well, the way that I think the reason I said that is because I know at least Mike has heard me do that story, and it's because like the story is I want to the stage version is there are like small embellishments to make it more exciting. Like that was like I said
And
that so that you could get the
couldn't
dry
share
version.
the embellishments with us.
No, you know when
that's
you know
how
when
I
you
like
say
my
you know when you say something on a
Phillies all
podcast.
pouty. When my gingers pout, I'm like, yeah.
She likes her Phillies neutered.
That's how you know I'm a Philly. I'm a Philly because there's red hair here and I'm pouting. That means I have a soul. I've got feelings. I've got feelings in here. No, you know when you fucking say something on a podcast you said on stage and then like you realize I don't want you guys to feel like I'm running a fucking
No,
bit on
I'm
you.
totally teasing you. You know
Yeah.
I'm totally teasing. Andrew, do you have any questions lurking over there on the side?
No, but it's just okay. Mike's stories are all just like simple, based in reality. Either one could be very simple, and Michael's are
The stories about the and then his
are
stories.
fucking insane.
They're long-ass
They're
stories,
layered
yeah.
as hell. But
Yeah.
I do have to say that going to the him saying about it being a bit or whatever, he did say about hey. If we're picking you up, it's your turn. It does sound very stage ready of a joke. So
Yeah.
that is, there was a big
Yeah.
laugh at that. So
You know
I
what
did
it is?
notice that. But I
You know,
don't
I
know.
will say that's funny about that is if like when I did hear the joke that you say on stage, if like I never heard that line.
That's interesting.
that
Because he's right. That's been a punchline I've used, but I'm surprised you don't know of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna say because you should use that line because that's a good one.
Thanks.
I do feel
Yeah.
like
I don't
with
know.
your story, the first story, I feel like that maybe happened to someone else,
The whole foot
and
thing?
maybe you were there with the mattress situation, but you weren't the guy in the cast.
Well, we've all lost a mattress on the road.
Yeah, totally.
Wow, you said that like you're going to shed a tear or something.
No, I mean, I believe that. Like, yeah, if you're moving, I've done it. I did it with my dad when we were moving from Florida to North Carolina. We lost a mattress. Huh? It wasn't.
But what about if he was there when a mattress was lost, but he wasn't the guy there with the cast on?
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
what I'm saying.
Right. He could have been somebody else.
Yeah.
I got what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
At what point are we supposed to?
Just wait.
Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to tell her if she's being like. I don't know if I should shut that down, agree with it, or how I should.
No,
be.
Well, I think you want to take a vote.
You want to
Do
take about Michael
do you-
first?
Yes. Do you have any questions about any of his stories about the
This is
mattress and or the
Really hard and very
broken
elaborate.
foot and
And-
or the Captain America costume?
Right.
Or
And they definitely both give you very beautiful, funny visuals. Because I still imagine that mattress going through the tires. Like, what a
Yeah.
visual. I love that.
Yeah.
And Captain America in your back seat. That's...
maybe that one's the lie, though. Maybe the Captain America one it happened to someone else. Because he didn't have an answer when you were asking, "Would you do the next day or whatever?"
Right.
I do have jokes about stories that someone that's not a comic told me, and I just kind of made it mine
Yeah.
and kind of
Exactly.
told it.
Yeah.
So it's still real, but it's not my real. It's somebody
Right.
else's real, and I
Right.
put some of me into it. But
One
That's
of my
what I'm kinda
favorite
thinking.
Louis C.K. bits of all time, and yes, I'm gonna fucking do a Louis C.K. bit, is when he went. This
Well,
is
we know
way-
you like your gingers.
Yeah. Look, I don't think it hurts anyone's feelings if I say he's not a Philly. Okay. I think we all know. But he used to do this bit about, remember that when someone tells you a story and then you co-opt the story like what you're saying, and then you're at a party and you're telling the story, and in the middle of telling the story, you realize you're telling it to the person that it happened to. And so I don't know. What do you think?
So I think that's I think he was trying to trick us by saying, "Oh, I do this on stage," and make it so we're like, "Oh, it must be true. It has to be true if he did it on stage." So I'm going to say that that's a lie, and then he did indeed break his foot, lose a mattress, and go through a Jack in the Box drive-through window.
What do you think, Mike?
the first one sounds so crazy, but knowing him, honestly, his frat friends and him do so much dumb drunk shit,
And you
it's
were in a
always
frat?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I was full on animal for like.
You
for a
seem
while.
so much
And they were
cooler
being-
I like
than
hardly
that,
even
though.
drink anymore too.
I think of
It's
frats
weird.
as like musclehead idiots.
No, but they. I mean,
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, you're right.
listen, Jessica. Jessica, you know all about being misunderstood. So.
That's so funny. I think Michael took that as a compliment because you said musclehead. He's like, yeah, totally. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
He has posted all those pictures with his
That's
shirt off lately.
hilarious. All right, so what do you think?
One.
But I would lean the Uber one being true because I don't know, because I do hear you say it on stage, but again, I have so much shit I say on stage that's not
Right.
technically me. But God damn it, it being on Halloween is the one thing that to me throws it through the loop. Is just like, and the guy was dressed in a costume. Are you like? It
Yeah, how many more layers you gonna add to this shit?
yeah. Ah, shit.
But then
broken
his first
foot.
story was fucking layered
yeah,
too.
layer upon
Yeah.
layer upon
Yeah.
layer upon
That's
layer.
what makes me feel like it's more real because it has more details. And the other one was kind of the whole story was just the mushrooms craziness. But just because I do hear you say it on stage, and I feel like I'll go the drive. The drive seems a little bit more real because I don't know. I don't.
So the mattress one is the real one, or the Uber driving?
I'm sorry, they're both right. Yeah, I would say the Uber one
Is the real one.
But I'm like 60-40 because they both kind of ridiculous.
Okay.
So either one
Right.
that happened is nuts.
right.
Yeah.
All right, so the Uber one you're saying, and you're saying that Jessica's saying that the first one is
Mattress
true
is
about
real.
The mattress.
Mattress is
Andrew?
real.
I think that the mattress one is the real one, and that the Uber driver, that one's like we were saying, is probably a friend story, and you just used it because maybe they're not a comic or something.
I'm gonna say that I believe the Uber one. I'm gonna go the opposite
So it's
because
us
yes,
doing-
yeah,
yeah.
because I kind of feel like
I don't want to agree with
you were talking
Andrew.
to someone last night about doing the podcast, and they were like, "You just got to make up a good story." So I feel like maybe that first story you padded a lot onto that and added a lot.
Padded brompo.
Okay, so
You know, so it's funny. Someone did tell me last night, like, have you considered just totally making up a story? And I was like, I have not considered that, and that sounds like a fun idea. And,
all right.
but I
So
just
which
thought it'd
one?
be hard to be
Which
realistic.
one is the lie?
The lie is the drive and the cast and the whole.
Damn it! This fucking
But yeah, but the Uber Captain America shit, that's all totally the most bizarre real story.
That's what guys. So that happened to you. I assume that happened to like Tyler or,
Yeah.
or like one of your friends.
Tyler was there at the apartment that I left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So do you think that when most people give you too much information when they're telling you a story, like that is like a liar's move?
Well, I should be specific that the mattress, the tire visual, that's all real. It's just basically that drive continuing with the broken leg, the mattress. We didn't end up in a Jack in the Box drive-through. That part is just a
So the
tack on.
beginning
But
part was
but
true.
the beginning of that, the breaking the leg thing, that's all real.
See, now this is where I would have to argue with you about what was the meat of the fucking story.
I think the
Was it
craziest
the
part. I think the
drive-thru?
craziest part is driving through.
Was
crawling through a
it you
drive-through
breaking
window.
your leg and losing a mattress and a freaking truck running over it?
I love it when she gets mad. I love it. All right, so we're gonna move on. And so, what about Mike?
Mics are so there. I love how you just were like, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, I tried too hard here for
That's
sure.
my life motto.
I overthought the shit out of this. Also, when you told me, I was like, "What are some favorite episodes of yours?" I'd like to check out the podcast, and
Yeah.
I happened to listen to Mark Ellis and Kevin Christie, layered as fuck,
Yes,
detailed stories. you got to think of what my
yes.
example was. I
Right.
listened to that whole
That
episode
was a
last
good
night. I'm like,
podcast,
okay.
In my defense, I can't get deeper than what I just said. So to me, that was pretty deep. When you're like, how simple and dumb.
I
was
let it
like,
all
huh.
out, man.
Yeah, I thought it had layers. But.
You know, the second one sounds like a movie to me, and this happens a lot with these stories. It sounds like a Stand By Me or something where they accidentally, or Sandlot. You know, they found
Two very different movies, Jessica.
but with the same feel. You know what I mean?
The same.
Or My
heart.
Girl.
Yeah, you know,
just
like
one of those.
You know, like Sound of Music or Harry Potter too.
Mermaids,
Yeah. Okay.
that kind of feel.
Well, I'm going to say that the first story is a lie because I was thrown off by that whole situation with class. What class is junior high and what was not junior high. I feel like that.
Yeah, the pre.
I feel like I caught you in a accidental
pre-cum.
lie.
Like you tricked yourself with the details, maybe.
Yeah, so I'm going to say the first one about Yankee Stadium is not real. And I
Okay.
should have, when you were asking him about his feelings, and I totally made fun of you because you fucking think I'm old. But
I'm not the one popping Werther's originals.
I should have let you continue with that story, with that questioning line because
Right.
I feel like you could have gotten on to something about that. But I think the first story is the lie.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you there. With the first story, though, I moved around a lot of schools. I did. So I could see where you would get confused. Because in Florida, I went to several schools, and I ended up going to this, I forget what they even call it now, where you learn a trade and you go to high school.
yeah, yeah. I
That would
did
be
that.
called trade
Yeah,
school.
yeah. No.
No, we call it.
Because I was failing. You had to have gotten in trouble,
Oh,
suspended
like
from your other
continuation school. I graduated from a continuation
no, it wasn't,
school.
That wasn't what it called, though. It was...
Yeah, Votech kind of thing, maybe.
Yeah,
That's-
something like that. Something like that. Huh. Anyway,
I went to a lot of
there.
that
it was
stuff,
great
yeah.
because you didn't get any homework. You got 8
Yeah,
periods.
right. That's what I did.
It was amazing.
It was crazy. Yeah.
Right. So I feel like
That was the sweetest, fucking, most like losery reunion moment ever.
So that I could kind of feel you on that.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you were young enough that you were a follower, I could see you back then definitely being a follower.
Thanks. She's like, I know you as a person.
What an interesting analysis.
I mean, I could see you doing what you do now then. So it's one of, yeah.
Right. And I mean, even though it would have been fun to burn penises, and put them on people's cars, though, that's a bit ballsy.
I like that part of the
Well,
story.
yeah, of course you would. she had a poster in her room as a kid. What was the guy?
Leif Garrett.
Leif Garrett. Some really hot
Before
guy,
your time.
right? And she put him on the wall, and she would kiss his penis
In
goodnight
Tiger
every
Beat
night.
magazine.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's adorable.
Yeah,
Isn't-
but she
Yeah.
did it so much that it
You're
wore
back in my good
a
graces.
hole in it.
No way.
Yeah, it was kinda like she wore a glory hole into the penis from kissing it so much.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's amazing.
All right, so which story?
Okay, sorry.
No, I'm so glad we got that tidbit. That is fucking awesome.
So I'm gonna say the first story's true. I'm gonna
About
say you
the
got
getting
lost
lost?
on the bus.
From
That
Yankee
that
Stadium.
seems super realistic and like possible.
Right.
But yeah, I guess I think the first one's true.
Do you?
I don't know. I can see him catching some shit on fire and like, oh my god, let's just act
Oh,
like we have
yeah.
nothing to do with this.
I caught my room on fire once. Yeah.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What, with your flat iron?
No, with my curling iron, dumbass. Get the insult correct. But Andrew, what do you think? What's your thoughts?
I think, quick question. Were your parents disciplinarian or kind of let shit slide?
Honestly, 1 and 1. My mom was
Venezuelan.
yeah, my mom was super brutal. My dad was just like, I was the youngest. He didn't care. He was old.
Okay, if that's the case, then I'm going to say that the fire thing is the lie because you said that your mom just kind of didn't really do it. I feel like you would have put that in a story that you got grounded or some shit. You could have
Oh
just left it
no,
out.
man! When your kid
there's
does something really bad, you fucking don't want to know.
You ignore
You're
it.
like,
I can
I
that.
see you, motherfucker, but I'm looking over here.
Yeah,
I
but
think
that's what I'm going to go with. So the fire is the lie. I want
So
it to be
you
true,
think
because
that
I feel like that,
getting lost after Yankee Stadium is
yeah, that could
the
be such
truth.
an easy thing. There's
Yeah.
so many schools, so many kids. You just like follow a group. Yeah, I feel like that's easily could be done.
Yeah. So you. So which one? I'm sorry.
Yankees
true.
is true.
The Yankee one is true. So no one thinks you and I. You think the Yankee one is true? Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. So I'm the only one that says that the fire on the hill, the fire
Wait,
at
wait,
the
wait, wait.
Grand Union.
So wait, which one do I think is a lie?
Yeah,
I think
it's-
the fire happened, and I think the bus thing you just tacked on a
Oh, you just
random
changed.
story.
You just changed.
Did
But
I
that's
change?
fine. That's
Who
fine.
thinks what? What do you think?
I think it. I
Wait, before I say mine, what do you got? What do you guys say?
I think the porn, catching porn on fire in a dumpster fire and burning down the grocery store is real.
Yeah, I think that's real too.
What is it?
Yeah, the porn one's the real one.
Yes.
This is my worst one ever. Fuck you guys.
Slipping. You're slipping.
I
You're
know.
slipping. You're
Yeah.
slipping.
Bullshit.
Wow, you guys have been such amazing guests. Thank you so much for joining
Thanks
us.
for having
Thanks,
us.
this
This
was
is
great.
awesome.
This is a game show, so you don't get points or nothing. I just get to pick a winner.
I just get to stare and judge you for a second, and then I'll pick a one.
And even though you fooled us all,
Jesus.
Mike, Michael had some very elaborate, and I like the
Yeah.
I like the effort that he put into it. Mm-hmm. You know.
You with your effortless fucking lie.
I mean, get lost on the bus and pay porns.
That porn, burning the porn in the dumpster fire, that was an elaborate story.
Yeah, it
Putting
was-
the penises under
It
people's
was
Yeah.
cute.
It was cute. He found bags of porn, and then
it
they
was
put it on
cute.
people's cars, and then they burned it up.
Yeah.
And then the grocery store caught on fire. Really?
Yeah.
And his mom thought it was him, but looked away because she was scared. Your mom must have been like, this motherfucker.
Yeah, did some
Yeah.
shit.
Wow.
But she knew I was a pussy, so she knew it was my friend. She always knew that. It was like
Right.
whenever your parents like, I have a good kid, but it's his friend. It was 100% my friends. I just followed them.
Right.
I just liked all the detail and the layering that Michael put on. So I'm going to say Michael's the winner.
Michael's the winner.
Hey, thank you.
Yes.
Suck it, Mike. I appreciate it, guys.
A true unicorn ginger.
a true Philly.
All right, so where can people find you guys?
You can find me at MikeLevinsComedy.com. High Five Michael on Instagram. And what I want to plug. What's the dojo? What's our next comedy real life?
January 10th, we have a live show at the Comedy Reel. Is at the Sycamore Tavern in Los Angeles.
Wonderful.
So you can check that out, comedyreel.eventbrite.com. You can find me at UnfunnyMike, unfunnymike.com, and Unfunny Stuff is a comedy kind of collective. We do sketches, videos. You just go Unfunny Stuff on YouTube and stuff. You have all of our videos and stuff there.
Wonderful. And Andrew, where can people find you?
You can find me everywhere at 1 Andrew Rose, the number 1 Andrew Rose. Go to arosecomedy.com, click on the book link, and there's I wrote a joke book. If you wanted a joke book for your father who thinks he's funny, go on there and grab it. I'd appreciate it. And yeah, you guys are awesome. Thanks for listening.
And I am Felicia Michaels, and you can catch me at Felicia Michaels all across the board. And we have a Liars Club website. You can go check that out. We have a little bit of our little, I guess they're like PR press kind of little videos that we do. Yeah. Besides just the podcast. And thank you guys for listening. And I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season. And I just want to say that we are so appreciative of the people that are listening and that are leaving reviews. And I also wanted to say this. These guys didn't know that I've had a wonderful time doing this podcast, and I'm very grateful to be part of it and that you asked me to start a podcast with you, Jessica. And Andrew, thank you for letting us browbeat you to the inch of your life. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate you, Felicia, and thank you she put the website together. She's amazing. Andrew, I hate you.
No, we love
No, I love you. You know, when I pick on you, I love you. If I didn't pick on you, then I really did hate you. Whatever.
That's how I grew up, too.
But follow me at Jess Wellington 2 on everything. And thank you guys again. Like she said, I'll just reiterate that for listening. I really do appreciate it. And you guys have been lied to.